Hi, it's Jen with Astrology. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are having our Christmas special. So, in the theme of the holiday season, I thought we would make things a little bit Christmassy and talk about some potential charts for the birth of Jesus and other Christmas season mysteries and traditions that have been happening for over the decades, centuries, millennia. So I grew up in a Christian household, and that meant that, yes, Christmas was about giving gifts and everything, but the foundation was built on this. We are celebrating because this was the birth of Jesus. So, starting with kind of what Christmas is all about. It is about giving and receiving gifts because you're doing things because you care about people, because you want to give and you are receiving. So it's all about just that happy, good nature, but it mostly is about the birth of Jesus. That is what the Christmas season, the Christmas holiday is based on. Of course, there have been traditions celebrated at this time of year, which we'll get into in this video, that have been going back way before the birth of Jesus. So very interesting. So the birth, Jesus was estimated to be born between about 7 and 4 BC. So when was it? Nobody's ever really going to know. There's no one alive from that time. There's no exact documentation of, I'm sure every astrologer in the world would be clamoring for that birth chart with that time on there to know, so they could pick it apart. But unless we, figure out time travel, we will, never have that. But astrologers have tried over the decades, centuries, to pinpoint the birth of Jesus by just the astrological things, the astrological, themes that went on back then, to try and, come up with the best scenario where the astrology makes sense and kind of, ushers in the coming of, the Son of God. So they first we talk about the Star of Bethlehem. So the Star of Bethlehem is the star that was seen in the sky by the 3 Magi, or the 3 wise men. So these wise men, or the Magi, they saw the star in the sky. It was a different star. They knew that this was leading to the new Son of God. So they followed it, bearing their gifts for the child, and so they followed this Star of Bethlehem. So what was the Star of Bethlehem? And that is what astrologers have tried to pinpoint. Like, what caused this star to be so different that these Magi did decide to follow it? Well, there's a lot of different thoughts about that. So a lot of two particular that came out, astrologers that came out in the, I think it was the 60s. I'm sorry if I don't have my dates right. I was just looking at so many different things. But astrologers Neil Mickelson and Maria K. Sims, they said that it was an astrological event that happened, what was a planetary conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter. Now we know that these are the 2 biggest planets in the sky. So when they come together, that's gonna, be really intense, be really meaningful, maybe really bright. Mixing those lights is really gonna brighten up the sky. So maybe that is what they saw. So this happened between 4 and 6 BC. They have lots of different dates and times for this, same kind of dates, but thought these were very interesting charts. So if you could, find this information, it's really readily available online. You can actually pull these charts up yourself. It depends on the software. I know I've had trouble pulling up the really old charts using Astro.com, but if you have SolarFire, you'll be able to do it on that. So that was one idea, that this big star in the sky, this brand new star, was actually a conjunction of 2 stars, which, of course, that could make sense. Plus, Saturn and Jupiter, this is, this maturity, Jupiter, this, huge just development and a foundation. Now, you think Saturn is going to be involved because that is building a foundation for this new church that's going to be built with the coming of Jesus. So then, well, this actually goes back even further. In 1604, Johannes Kepler, so if you are familiar with Kepler College, and if you're familiar, just with ancient astrologers, then you'll recognize that name. And he came up with that it was a Mars-Jupiter conjunction on actually March 5th of 6 BC. So being that Mars is a fire sign and it was in the cardinal sign, that's making way for the Son of God. This was took place after the Mars and the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. So this created a supernova, or a new star, which appeared alongside Jupiter and Mars, that appeared to be the Star of Bethlehem. So that they are saying, or this is what Johannes Kepler said was the star that the Magi followed. So then, in 1999, an astrologer, Michael Mohar, I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, on April said a date that he chose was April 17 in 6 BC. There was the Jupiter conjunct the moon and a cluster of planets in Aries, signifying a new king, signifying a new coming. So Aries, that is like the most initiative of all the cardinal signs. That starts off, the whole astrological season. So that happened on April 17th of 6 BC. So that was another idea. So again, makes sense, but it really depends on what else. So it'd be fun to really pull up these charts. So definitely pull them up and try playing with them. Then Roger Snott in 1968 found a series of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions in 7 BC in Pisces. So you think about Pisces. Pisces is that mutable sign, and it's also, about change. It's about, changing and acceptance and forgiveness. So, Pisces is a lot, when you think about Pisces, and it is the fish, so you think that is a lot very Jesus-like. He's very forgiving. Of course, he died to have our sins forgiven. So that is why this, conjunction in Pisces seemed to really make sense. And Saturn or Jupiter and Saturn, the two biggest planets. So then in 1976, David Hughes, another astrologer, found a triple conjunction in 6 BC with Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. So it's all kind of revolving around just these really intense, Mars with that initiation, with that, change and pushing towards what I'm meant to be. Mars is that going for that brass ring and, that destiny. Jupiter and Saturn saying, Jupiter is huge. This is going to be a huge change. And, with the coming of Jesus, whether you believe in, that or not, Christianity really just exploded all over the world, and it's still to this day. It's like, okay, so there must be something about this that, when over 2,000 years later, people are still, worshiping this guy. So it seems like there has to be something behind it, to me anyway. But, not everyone believes what they believe. So finally, astrologer Christine Ahrens on a Kepler College podcast, which this one was really interesting. She pulled a chart for a new moon in Gemini, and this was on May 29th of 7 BC, and it was also during that, so coming off of the David Hughes, that Saturn, or the Roger Snott, that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Pisces. So this has the Jupiter-Saturn-Pisces conjunction, and it's a new moon. So new beginnings, new starts, and with this Pisces. So that was really compelling, and I definitely advise watching that video, because whatever you believe, it was just shocking as to how accurate it just seemed to all make sense, and it seemed like the astrology just made sense. So I don't know, hope it would be great if a recent nowadays astrologer kind of figured it all out. So why have we not come up with a date? The majority find he was born in the spring. So why are we using December 25th? Because all of the dates that people come up with, they're always March, April, May, they're always around springtime. But why did we choose December 25th as the day we celebrate? So December 25th in history, we have pretty much the start of the winter solstice. Yes, now it is the 21st, but it just depends on, but that is always the day it was really celebrated in history. So this has the earth going from the shortest day and the least amount of light, and now the days are lightening. So light is coming back. So it's returning of the light and lengthening days. So returning of the light being the Son of God. So that's kind of how, that date kind of made sense. So the sun appears during this time over the Tropic of Capricorn to start its northward journey, and it is also said that these three kings, or the Magi, represented by, if you don't believe that, this is all something that happened in history, this is all things that you can look up at the sky. So they say that the Magi are represented by the three stars in Orion's belt. So I know if you look up in the sky and you see those three dots, those three stars right next to each other, that's Orion's belt. It's very distinct, very easy to find. And they are moving towards the brightest star, which was Sirius, which is still Sirius. So that is the Magi walking towards the Star of Bethlehem, following towards that bright star in the sky. And that is then pointing to the sun. So they are following the star, the three Magi, the three Orion's belt, walking towards the Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, Star of Bethlehem, pointing towards the sun, symbolically the Son of God, just Jesus. So it kind of plays out in the astrology, in the sky when you look up. The Magi following the star following that star to the new Son of God. So you can see the other symbolism between Jesus and astrology, or Christianity and astrology, whatever better, what better sign to be under than Capricorn. So that Capricorn is that Saturnian sign that provides that foundation. So if you're going to build a brand new church, what better sign to do it under than Capricorn? It's a creation of Christianity. And Saturn is seen as the sun, Mary as the moon, and the 12 apostles as the 12 signs. So astrology, we have the 12 signs. A lot coincides with the number 12 in scripture, in the Bible, and 12 in astrology. So it all just kind of intertwines together. So in 1627, there was an astrologer, Julius Schuler, who likened the planets to prominent biblical characters. So, like we said, we have, Jesus, the seen as the light of the world, and he is the sun. And then we have the 12 apostles as the 12 signs. We have Mary as the moon. There's lots of different, I've read a lot of contradictory things about what apostles go with what signs. So I won't really go into that. There's nothing, it's just kind of the personalities of the apostles. If you do read the Bible, you get the personalities of the apostles, or if you're even watching that show that's on, that it's called The Chosen, you kind of, can almost pick what apostle, what disciple goes with what sign. So I kind of found that fun to do when I was watching that show. So So Jesus again is seen as the light of the world, celebrated with the winter solstice. So, okay, makes sense to me. The sun in Capricorn, the moon in Pisces, it's giving that foundation to build that Christian church. It gives the wisdom to humanity. It gives, and most charts have either the sun or moon or the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Pisces. So there's a lot of Pisces in these charts that are that were chosen by these astrologers over the years. So it gives Jesus these traits of Capricorn, the forgiveness of sins that are traits of Pisces, and even the symbol for Jesus or Christianity is that Jesus fish that you see. So still the fish is represented. So, kind of fits in with the astrology. So on the last day I found was March 1 on 7 BC at 1:30 a.m. A sixth planet stellium. Now a stellium is when there are multiple planets in one sign. So let's say, all these were in Sagittarius. That would be a stellium. It's usually, I would consider it 3 or more. But on this date, there was a stellium in Pisces with oppositions to Pluto and trines to Neptune. So that stellium in Pisces, that's like, changes are coming, and, he's going to forgive and be accepted of everyone. And if you know anything about the history of Jesus, he helped people that, lepers that no one wanted anything to do with, but he was more accepting, and that is a huge trait of Pisces. So we got Piscean energy, was that forgiveness, was that embracing of all different type of people. And then opposition to Pluto, that's that transformation. So creating that whole new, starting something, rid of the old and starting all new with this, Christianity, and trines to Neptune. So of course, that's like the unknown. You don't know for sure. Everything's kind of smoke and mirrors. You don't know. He's performing these great miracles, and trying to get, convince people to believe, or not even trying to convince them, just doing these things to help people. And it's just, people are so confused. And so, a lot of that astrology makes sense as well. So that is kind of how, Jesus fits into the mix. Of course, it's, Christmas season, so have to do that, get a little bit. So have fun pulling those charts if you can. Check them out. If you can't pull them, I'm sure you could find them online if you just kind of Google what you're looking for, and they'll pop up and you can kind of play around there. So now getting more into just the basic traditions of the holidays. So first we have Saturnalia. So, Capricorn, Saturn. So Saturnalia is a celebration of Saturn the god. This was usually celebrated between December 17th through 23, and this dates back to 5 BC. And then later the Roman Empire actually reset the date to the 25th. 25th. So here we go. There's another. So this date, this December 25th, has been celebrated for centuries. Even before Jesus was, a thought, before Christianity was a thought anyway. Because by 5 BC he was born, most likely. So then during these celebrations of Saturnalia, the Romans, they didn't work. So you weren't allowed to work. They played music, they feasted, they gave gifts. Their enslaved people were temporarily freed, and the owners then served them. They exchanged little terracotta figurines, and this went on for 12 days. So there's, again, with the 12 signs, the 12 apostles, the 12 days of Christmas. So that's where that comes from. It's 12 days of giving gifts from December 25th, January 5th, 12th night, and this the 12 days of Christmas. So it is said also that when the Magi, or 3 wise men, came upon the baby Jesus, it was not, of course, the day he was born, but it was 12 days after. And what did the Magi do? They brought gifts for Jesus, for the child. So, again, with the 12 days later. So, 12 days after his birth, on Epiphany Eve, this is when they gave Jesus the gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So again, we're staying with that tradition of giving those gifts and the 12 days of Christmas. And everything just kind of just blends together. So all these traditions that were once Saturnalia then kind of merged into Christmas. So another celebration that was originally known as Yule and is still celebrated since it's around the same, of course it's the same time, because Yule actually is the winter solstice, which starts tomorrow, the 21st, but Yule is celebrated still in more kind of a Wiccan culture, because it's that, you know, appreciative of the land. So you burn a Yule log. It would be burned for 12 days, and other Saturnalia traditions, they all kind of flow together. So Yule is again a 12-day tradition. You use, you know, simmer pots to simmer the herbs and the fruits and the things, you know, fruits, nuts, foliage, anything you want that good spirit to come out. I've had one going in my house for a few days now. We started a little bit early. We started last week, and oh, the orange, we have orange in it, and cloves, and we have a little bit of a pine, rosemary sprigs, and apples, and it just, oh, it smells so nice. You don't even need a candle. It just simmers away. You don't even see it, and it just, oh, it just gives that little essence of just that natural aromas, those natural and good feelings, and you know it's bringing positivity into your home. So even, you know, let's look at the glyphs themselves, you know, just kind of tie it all together in the end. So the glyphs, we have a circle. So let's look at the glyphs. Most glyphs have, you know, we have circles, we have crosses. Most glyphs do have a cross. If you look at all, they all have a cross of some sort. Here, here, here. This one's a little bit different, but we'll go over all that. So the circle is spirit. So that is your sun and that is your spirit. The semicircle, which of course I don't have it, but Jupiter has it, so right here, that is the moon, and that is, it's like a crescent moon, and that is your soul. And the part that is missing out of the crescent is what you long for. So that's your needs, that's your wants, that's your desires, that's your moon. The circle is your spirit, it's your ego, it's what keeps you going, it's what motivates you. The cross itself is matter, so that is the body. It's like, you know, when they say you go to church, the body of Christ, and you make the sign of the cross, that's making the cross, because that is about the body. And then the arrow here with Mars is the cross out of balance. So we have Venus here, which is nicely balanced. The cross with Mars is out of balance. It's pointing towards a goal. It's not completely settled, and it's pushing towards that goal. So sun, the circle with the dot, that's the core energy. That's your seed of consciousness. The moon, it's your soul, not a complete circle, meaning the piece that is not there is what we long for, is what we need. Mercury we have up here. Well, it's in retrograde now, that's why he's upside down. That's your connection of mind, body, soul. This has all of it. It has the half circle, the crescent, it has the circle, and it has the cross. So that's really connecting that whole mind, body, spirit, talking, communication, how you process information, how you present it, just like the way you almost digest everything. And then Venus, we have the circle just beautifully balanced there on the cross. And when you look at this, it reminds me of tree pose, which is one of my very favorite poses in yoga, because you're standing on one foot and it's just that perfect balance. It's okay, it's not super easy all the time, but it's that what that Venus longs for, that nice balance. So that balance of the body and the spirit. It's beauty and desire. It's just nice, calm balance, like Libra with the scales. Then Mars, we have the spirit here, and then the direction. That pushes you to move outside your comfort zone towards your goal. Jupiter, of course, we have the crescent moon here, and that's on the cross. That's expansion of ideas. It's expansion of your desires, and the moon, with it open on the top, that is, your mind expansion, learning, taking in information, higher learning, religion. And then we have Saturn here, which is the cross, as you can see, and then the base, it has a moon. So this is, the base is the foundation. It's what we want to build upon. This is what we strive for. This is our traditions. This is our, what we fall back on. This is, what keeps us. This is our, this is our history. So that's just some fun and something just to play around with during the holiday season. If you have any downtime, which I don't know if anyone does during this season, but I hope you enjoy trying out these charts, and I definitely encourage you to check out all those people that I was talking about and just look at their charts. Definitely check out that Kepler College YouTube video and with Elizabeth Aarons, because that is just fascinating to me. So I hope you enjoy this little holiday special. Let me know what you find. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope you all have a great holiday. Saturnalia, Christmas, Yule, whatever you may celebrate, I hope it's a fantastic one, and be sure to subscribe and get notified, because next we have coming up a little look back into 2023 and what to expect for 2024. So I will see you soon. Bye.